Okay, I think we have a good quorum to get started. Hey, good morning, good afternoon. You must be in multiple time zones based on wherever you are. Thank you all for joining. And then today we are covering on modernizing HIPAA risk management, the proactive approach versus the reactive approach. As an overview, we have been covering a HIPAA series of topics lately. Last month was on HIPAA BAA on the business associate agreements. And today, as we know, we'll cover the risk. And we have a few more topics on the HIPAA series in the upcoming months. So stay tuned and keep watching out for our newsletter. So I hope I'm still audible. Okay, so this is our HealthDox company overview, where we have over 25 years of experience. We had started off with compliance and governance risk solutions, all in one platform. We also have been adding AI features as we go with a lot of capabilities. So we had the traditional GRC suite, and we have a pro package that has the AI features built in. We also have certified auditors and consultants who can help your organization with any kind of audit readiness, for example, ISO 9001, 21000, 27001, and so on. So here is our agenda. We'll be talking about OCR enforcement. So we'll look at the current state of HIPAA enforcement by the Office of Civil Rights, what is changing here, what is being prioritized, and how these trends impact the healthcare organizations of all different sizes. So the compliance trap is what I call, many organizations fall into this, where you're treating compliance as a checkbox activity and not as an ongoing activity, which should be a rather living strategic risk management function. So this mindset can leave healthcare providers vulnerable if you're in the old model. So you'll be vulnerable to breaches, fines, operational disruptions, etc. We'll cover what reactive versus proactive risk management is. We'll compare traditional reactive approaches with the modern proactive strategy. Also, we'll highlight why reacting after a breach for audit is too late, and show how shifting left on the risk can reduce exposure and also increase your resilience. So enabling proactive risk management is the next one. We'll explore how a modern HIPAA-focused GRC solution can help move your organization from, say, a reactive firefighting approach to a proactive oversight. So this includes like leveraging automation, real-time analytics, and integrated risk workflows, and also adding AI features in. Finally, we'll open the floor for questions. So typing questions at any point of time. Our chat box here is where you can start typing at any time, and we will answer the questions at the end. So you can ask anything about like OCR audits or HIPAA requirements or modern GRC tools, right? We are here to support your compliance journey. So here we go with the first poll. Let's launch our first poll. How confident are you in your organization's ability to respond to an OCR audit or investigation? So the options here are you very confident, somewhat confident, or not confident at all, or you're not unsure about what's happening in the OCR audit side? Okay, we're getting good responses. Thank you for actively participating. Okay. So majority are very confident. That's a good sign. So about 60% are very confident. About 30% are somewhat confident. And about 10% are not confident. So yeah, here we are to help you, right? In the 50% actually are now, the poll has ended. We can close the poll. 50% are very confident, 40% are somewhat, and then 0 are not sure, that's good, and 10 are not confident. So here we are on highlighting about the importance, right? So OCR enforcement trends of 2025. Let's look at a few of them. I'm sure you're aware of OCR, but just a brief overview. It is the Office of Civil Rights under the HHS wing, and it's responsible for enforcing HIPAA regulations. So over the past few years, actually, OCR has ramped up enforcement efforts. So I'm sure you are all in the thick of it and you are aware of it. And it's focusing especially on the rights of access violations, and also if there is any breach happening and they're not reporting the breaches after the failures occurred, and that's a big deal. And also if there are any lack of risk assessments. So the penalties are becoming more and more frequent, more and more expensive, and making proactive compliance essential, right? And you'll understand why proactive is so important. So in this past few months, we have a few examples that we would like to highlight. So in April, recently, a 350K fine, so 350,000 fine, was issued after a large breach of about 300 records were impacted, and they went undetected for several months actually due to poor monitoring systems. Some of you might be aware of these already. And in March, there was another OCR settlement that happened under the Risk Analysis Initiative. All these highlight the importance of regular assessments. Also in January, a vendor was fined $80,000, and it was for some ransomware which was exploited because of open firewall ports that should have been secure. And in June, there were two major penalties of two different categories, 800K and 75K. And these were issued over, again, the access control failures and missing risk assessments. And another provider recently had received a $5,000 fine because they did not conduct a risk test. So these cases clearly show risk analysis failures remain a top target. And the message is clear, right? So being reactive is expensive, and it will even affect your brand reputation. So OCR now expects proactive ongoing risk management regardless of your organization's size. So why do we need this HIPAA risk management, right? And this shift in the strategy. So as we have seen now the enforcement trends, the takeaway is clear, right? HIPAA risk management must evolve, and some of you must have already been in this proactive mode. So most recent stem not just from high attacks, which we normally would have thought of, but from these basic failures, right? Like these outdated risk assessments or poor access control or missing documentation. So what this tells us is the issue isn't just about having policies in place or a policy management solution in place. It's about how actively and continuously risks are being identified, how they're tracked, and how they're mitigated, right? Which is very important. And OCR is making it very clear that reactive one-time risk assessments are no longer enough. They want to see a culture shift of continuous proactive risk management happening. Also, organizations that embed the HIPAA compliance into their daily workflows, like using of automation, monitoring real time, are much far better actually positioned to avoid fines and protecting patient data. So in short, what we see is it's time to move from checklist to real-time risk intelligence. Here we go with the second poll. So what best describes your organization's approach to HIPAA compliance? So do you focus on meeting minimum compliance requirements, or do you go beyond compliance to reduce real risks? Or are we still developing an approach? I'm not sure. A consistent approach, or are you sure? Okay, that's good. That 50% say that they go beyond the compliance to reduce the risks. Okay. So about 44% in each of the two second and third categories, and then about 11% are not sure. So anyway, that's good that you're not focusing on meeting minimum requirements. You're going one step above. So that's good. I can close the poll. So what's a compliance trap? So this is what I call it as compliance trap, right? Where organizations believe simply having policies or passing an audit means that they are safe. So a reactive approach often means like risk assessments are being performed like on a regular basis and not just when a breach happens, right? Or when the auditors are on site. So you may have policies, but maybe they are not embedded in your daily workflows and they don't protect you. It's just for the heck of having policies that you have something. The other one is security updates and patches. Do they happen after something breaks or get exploited rather than through regular planned reviews? How about training? It's often a one-time module at onboarding, right? Generally without any role-based refreshers or testing. Is that the case? And the other one is most importantly is the compliance. Is it often siloed in the legal or IT department? But in reality, everyone handles patient data. Right? In reality, right, or most of you do, and it should be part of the risk ecosystem, isn't it? So this reactive mindset creates a false sense of security, and this is the compliance trap, and it leaves you vulnerable to both the threats and enforcements. So here we go with the third and final poll. So what best describes your current approach of HIPAA risk management? So are you primarily reactive, both proactive and reactive? Or are you primarily proactive, continuous monitoring, regular assessments happening? Or are you not sure? Okay, so we see kind of in all the first three categories. Okay, so about 20% in the top category and about 40% in the second one, and then about 33% on primarily proactive. Okay, that's good news that at least there are a majority in the mix and others are trying to move to proactive. That's fine, that's good. Thank you. We can close the polls. That was our last poll, so we got an idea. So now let us see what proactive risk management is, and it's not just better, right? It's about how you can be smarter. So this shift means that risk assessments happen as a part of your daily workflows and not just during the audit phase. Also that early, like during the audit phase. And also risks are ranked and addressed with ownerships assigned and tracked. And also instead of just annual one-time assessment or you have a mid-year audit internally, risks have to be continuously evaluated and they should be part of your everyday workflows. So this ensures that emerging threats are captured early and consistently, and you won't miss any in the that might happen. Also that the threats are identified, prioritized, and resolved much before escalation happens. And we're not waiting for issues to become incidents. Approach uses the data to flag risks and assign these priorities and then act before damage occurs. So you might have the risk heat map of the ashram, right, where you can prioritize the high risk categories. Since you may not have the time to work on all of them, then you can prioritize based on the ashram framework, high risk categories, and start with those first and then work up down the ladder to the next level of categories. So training, so it should not just be during an onboarding process of an employee, right? It should be like a continuous annual process or a quarterly process. And also it should be role specific and it should be evolving with the threat landscape. So more often training actually. Also this modern GRC tools, you should have something which enables like a 24/7 oversight, and they will have like intelligent monitoring, highlight the immediately. whether it is an unauthorized access or if it's an overdue training or if there are any policy violations, right? It should highlight all that. And compliance, as we saw earlier, right? It should not be just for about one team. The entire company and the organization should be in this mindset change of proactive risk management. So this would empower the leaders to own and manage the risk relevant to their function. So creating a culture of the shared responsibility. So policies also just having being static in a system. We should have them tested through exercises, updated after incidents, and actually followed. Like the compliance, when they have their findings, they should be updating the policies if there is any policy associated with change. And the most important one is mature programs that use analytics to spot the trends and also flag any repeated vulnerabilities. And if you predict where incidents might occur, there is a where there is a chance of happening. And AI actually has started making strides in this space, and we need to take advantage of that. So what we see is that HIPAA risk management becomes a strategic differentiator, right? And it's not just a requirement. So what's the difference? Let's compare the reactive and proactive to highlight how a shift in the strategy and the approach makes a major difference. So for instance, in a reactive model, risk assessments are conducted maybe once a year or only before an audit. But in a proactive model, the assessments are like ongoing. They're really often, so nothing slips through the cracks, right? And the next one is like organizations often only realize that something is wrong after a breach or during a but in this approach, much earlier and addressed even before they escalate in a reactive system. But then if you're having an intelligent system, it monitors actively, continuously, and flags any issues real time, like a 24/7 system. You can have like a control chart system where if it goes up or above or below control limits, it actually flags the incident, auto generates a performance trigger based corrective action plan even. Also policies, it should not be just written once and then just used as part of and then rarely updated. But we should have this proactive organization where they treat policies as like live documents, right? The live tools instead of which are being tested, enforced, improved regularly, as I said, connected with any compliance findings and so on. So linkage between those multiple systems helps keep the policies updated. Also data, right? Data is always generally underused. We generate tons of data, the EHR systems and the EMR records, right? Generate tons of data. And most of the time we have no time to review the data. But if you have real-time dashboards and predictive analytics, and the data shows up every morning when you come in at 8 a.m., you have a dashboard to look at, and the data becomes a tool for prevention, right? And not just for reporting. It will help you analyze it and come up with some strategies on how to act on them. And then here with data, AI, in fact, plays a major role, right? And each of these shifts moves you from like a reactive approach to staying ahead of them, right? Instead of, so which is actually essential for HIPAA compliance, patient safety, operational resilience, and so on. So it's a mindset shift. So what is predictive risk management? So these examples here show how proactive risk programs stop incidents before they even occur. So they are actually real world scenarios where you have predictive proactive risk management transforming outcomes. So from costly incidents, right, to control preventable actions. Actually, this even helps with your brand reputation. It reduces your claims, insurance costs. So it is actually a dynamic chain reaction that will actually help you further through your progress. So in one scenario, real-time monitoring caught an unusual login activity just before it became a breach. So this is like monitoring infrequent log reviews. So if it was infrequent log reviews, that when you were doing these infrequent log reviews, it meant that unusual login behavior like login at odd hours or other unfamiliar IPs, or from unfamiliar IPs actually were noticed. So this left the system open to potential breaches for extended periods. This is the initial scenario, right? So, but with real-time alerts and intelligent access, right? When you have monitoring systems in place which are 24/7 and automated, so the system detected and blocked suspicious login attempts. It immediately flags them, and then it prevented unauthorized access before it could cause any further damage. Second scenario, the situation was like a phishing simulation, which helped pinpoint vulnerable users and led to focused retraining. So without adequate training or simulation, staff were actually vulnerable to phishing emails and one click. I don't know if your organization does, but in our organization, there are these fake emails that the organization generates to make sure that our team doesn't have this habit of clicking on it, right? Like, oh, we might have a FedEx package being delivered or something, and we might accidentally click on it. So instead of that, if you have like a simulated phishing test and you have targeted training in our companies and organizations, so this would reduce our chance of phishing clicks, and it reduced in our organization by about 80%. And in this particular case as well. And staff also aware, right? And at spotting malicious emails, even on our personal emails, this helps, right? So it turns a major vulnerability into a strength. And then the third scenario, compliance. So there were regular internal reviews ensuring readiness when regulators came knocking. So this avoided penalties. So the organization actually initially was relying on outdated or infrequent risk reviews. And when the auditors arrived, they were actually unprepared, and it resulted in a 250,000 penalty. So it's a big deal, right? For non-compliance. So, but with the regular risk assessments in place and with updated documentation and also with internal audit readiness checks, the organization passed the next audit seamlessly without any issue, and it also avoided penalties entirely. So what these examples show is that how predictive versus proactive strategies actually do more than just managing risk, right? They prevent incidents, they reduce financial exposure, they build a culture of readiness, right? It's like a transformation that modern GRC platforms like ours actually enable. So these aren't rare wins. They are through hard work and through standard. When an organization invest in their visibility, analytics, and cross-team accountability. So a lot goes in for this. So what next, right? Everything we have talked about so far was about continuous improvements, role-based accountability, predicting risk before it becomes an incident. But all these are possible when you have systems designed for that purpose. So this slide highlights that the key smart tools that support proactive risk management actually across critical compliance functions would these aren't actually it helps you through your overall compliance, and these aren't just standalone modules, right? They work together and they have interoperability between them, and they embed compliance into everyday operations, and they also help organizations move from a reactive to a strategic approach. So let's see your contract management, right? So it's for managing business associate agreements and vendor contracts, and it's more than just documentation. It's a risk control measure. So what our system prevents is missed renewal deadlines with automated alerts, track these contract versions, and generate custom reports that are export ready for audits or reviews. Right? This helps ensure that our BA compliance, your BA compliance or our BA compliance is always current and never overlooked. So the next one is policy management, right? Where policies could be static PDFs and buried in a shared folder. So with centralized policy management, you get this version control, distribution, tracking, scheduled reviews, ensuring that policies are not only up to date, but also actively enforced. And then access and accountability, they're built into the system. And so staff knows what applies to them and when. And This is HIPAA risk management, and that's our topic. So risk registers are often reactive and outdated, right? So we often take a different approach. So the risk module includes like a dynamic risk register that tracks threats, assign risk scores, follows up on like mitigation efforts, and ensures visibility across the organization. And then risk ownership is clear and a continuous process and not just a year exercise. So the next one is audit management or compliance. Like audits shouldn't be just stressful fire drills, right? And not like dreading an auditor's visit. But with centralized audit documentation and like a checklist and auto-generated response pack, you're always ready and prepared year-round. So everything you need is in one place. It's centralized. And as I said, our compliance and policies talk to each other. Like if you have like a one integrated solution, they speak to each other. And then also the AI powered incident protection. So it helps you perhaps through the most transformative tool is this AI engine, right? It analyzes the user behavior, system access, and task history to identify the patterns and flags high risk activities before the incidents happen. So this helps shift compliance from like a reactive investigation to an intelligent preventing alert, intelligent prevention, right? It has like systems and alerting teams to act before a breach happens. So together with these tools, you get a complete visibility and automation and intelligence built in, right? Turning compliance from like a burden into a strategic advantage. So it's not just about managing risk, it's about anticipating and being ready as well. So here we are at our HealthDox GRC solution, which actually helps you through this process, which is one integrated solution, and it consolidates all these different categories, right? And there is interoperability across these systems. So it actually builds you it helps you with this proactive automated alert systems. And also right now you can have both the packages, right? You have a traditional one with the current GRC suite, and then for organizations that are ready, we have the AI future with the AI features enabled as well. So yes, we are at the time of the question and answer session, and here is our LinkedIn. And you can also reach us through our calendar invite. Okay, so I see the comment about yes, the dogs. That is a good comment. Okay, we have a few questions. Let me take the first one. So how can AI help healthcare organizations avoid the common compliance traps amid increasing OCR enforcement? Okay, so AI can monitor data access. It can detect unusual patterns. It can flag potential violations early. It also helps keep the policies aligned with evolving like regulations. It also reduces the risks of OCR penalties. So as I said, AI is very data heavy. It can process through any kind of data, review all, since we have like a controlled one unique system that handles all of the compliance solutions. They can talk to each other, and AI definitely helps in this area. Okay, the next one, how can a GRC solution help healthcare organizations move from a reactive to a proactive risk management? So HIPAA-based, HIPAA-focused GRC solution centralizes risk data automation, and it automates the assignments. It provides real-time visibility into compliance gaps, and also, as I was mentioning, it can talk to the different tools between policy and risk. If there is a finding in the compliance solution, you can track it to the policy and then assign some tasks. And also it enables like faster response, trend analysis. You can have like a beautiful Power BI reports that show up on your desk every day, and it can have like a summary of what needs to be prevented before risks turn into violations. Sorry about that. So thank you. We are just over time, and You can book a call with me at any point if you would like to know more about our solutions. I have just added my calendar invite to the link, and we can connect for more information. And as I said, stay tuned. We'll have more on the HIPAA series coming up in the upcoming months. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Thank you all for joining and spending your 30 minutes with us. Have a nice day and week ahead. Bye-bye.